everyone to see. And while you're at it, make it a billboard over the closest major freeway. As insane as it sounds, that's precisely what most of us do every single day, unless we're already using ExpressVPN. Internet providers can see every website you've ever visited. Even in incognito mode, they track every move. I use ExpressVPN so my internet provider cannot see, record, share, or sell my browsing history ever again. I love how ExpressVPN is so easy. I just tap one button on any device, phone, laptop, desktop, tablet, and I know my online history is ironclad. Get up to 4 extra months of ExpressVPN for free at expressvpn.com/Kim. That's expressvpn.com/Kim. Get up to 4 extra months of ExpressVPN for free right now at expressvpn.com/Kim.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
Well, hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome in to Talkback here on a Monday. I'm Al Quartermons along with Stephen Maxwell. Hope you all had a great weekend. Boy, it was a newsmaker type weekend, that's for sure.
In the sports world, everyone's all fired up here.
How about those LSU Tigers?
Man, whooped them up good.
They did.
Nothing like beating up on a Chanticleer.
The outstanding pitching of LSU was the story of the championship round. LSU getting great pitching on Saturday and Sunday. I didn't realize they were going to play that game Sunday afternoon, but I guess probably because the NBA Finals were last night and ESPN was carrying both.
Oh, that's probably it.
Yeah.
I wonder if more people wanted to watch baseball than the NBA Finals.
Oh, definitely in Louisiana. I can assure you that. But the only thing about the LSU win yesterday was the way that umpire acted in the first inning. I mean, come on.
Ejecting the manager?
Yeah, this guy actually is a former Major League umpire, but he got fired because he had a notoriously, quick switch. So what do? They hire him in the NCAA, and they put him in the championship round of the College World Series, and that was just a joke. I'm sorry. It really, that was just ridiculous.
Didn't look overly heated either compared to what it could be.
No, and if you heard Louisiana Radio Network Sports, he said that what he was asking the umpire couldn't really hear because of the crowd being so loud. He just kind of assumed, and then ejects him and with the first base coach and one other coach. I mean, that's just, you can't, as an umpire, you cannot lose your cool in a moment that big. That guy should never work a World Series game again.
The finals, and you get rid of the coach in the first inning.
Ridiculous, but, doesn't take away from what LSU did. I mean, incredible weekend, and what a run for the Tigers once they got into the postseason. It all just came together. They showed signs during the course of the year of being a really great team, but it just seemed like if they had days where the offense was good, the pitching wasn't, but you knew you had 2 great starters, and it was just going to be a matter if the rest of the guys could step up, and they did. And then that lineup from top to bottom did really well. I mean, that's what you need. And so the LSU Tigers are national champions once again.
Yeah, I was just posting, my typical LSU wins the World Series, or I can't believe Coastal Carolina was talking all that smack over the weekend.
They kind of did, yeah.
They did, and people was like, "Be humble, don't talk about this like us. We're talking sports that we have no say or play into."
Right.
One was like, "I'd like to see you put cleats on." I was like, "I just said LSU won."
Really, you took that much shade over?
Yeah, people just get so mad.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, social media is definitely a weird world sometimes.
I would only have an excuse to get mad if it was over Cowboys football. That's okay. That would be the mature thing.
Yeah, that's the team that draws your ire from time to time.
Every day.
And we can understand why.
It's pretty tough. Pretty tough being a
fan. Watching them. I mean, good grief.
But yeah, I think everyone's pretty excited. And I saw someone post because I'm from Southwest Louisiana. They're like, "Oh, the Pitkin Tigers won the high school championship,
Yeah.
year of the Tiger, and their coach is J.C. Holt. So
Who played at LSU.
they were pumped about that.
Huh.
I remember J.C. Holt came to our high school one year and gave us a little pep talk.
Really?
Yeah, he did. Like
Wow.
15 years ago.
Of course, he played baseball at Oak Hill
He did.
and then went to LSU, and now has turned out to be a really good coach.
Yeah,
So,
great job.
So, yep. And you had the young man, Ethan Fry from Rose Pine, that was on this national championship team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very cool as well. So, yeah, big weekend for sports. Last night, the NBA Finals, the Oklahoma City Thunder completed the deal, winning Game 7 over the Indiana Pacers. Pacers lost one of their star players, Tyrese Halliburton, in the first half. Now, he'd been dealing with a calf strain, and it looked like he blew out his Achilles was it the first or second quarter, but wasn't in the rest of the way. So people are talking about that. Yeah, doesn't make a difference, probably a little bit, but I mean, the Bucks had to play without Damian Lillard, and had they had him, they might have beaten the Pacers. So you never know. You just never know.
Were you in tune with the NBA Finals this year?
Well, a little bit, only because I have one of my students is a big Thunder fan, and I was kind of rooting for them for his sake.
He's a big Thunder fan?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Good for
He
him.
actually went to the Western Conference Finals, one of the games, a couple weeks ago.
So he must be a real fan.
He's a real fan.
Yeah.
He is. That's his ride or die team.
I don't know. Like the NBA seems like it's struggling a little bit,
Yeah.
and then it had the two worst teams when it comes to like media
Yeah, small
hype.
market,
I mean,
market,
it's cool. I
Mhm.
think it's awesome, but I mean,
But it ended up being
bit of
a
a flop.
pretty good series overall. I mean, you had a couple of games that were blowouts, but to go 7 and the Thunder, second youngest team ever to win an NBA championship. So that was pretty cool on their part. They've got a great core. They'll be back, I would think.
the Halliburton guy seems like a cool dude too, though.
Yeah, Wisconsin kid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's why he's so
So of
good.
course he's cool. Yeah, that's the guy that got hurt.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, in the Bucks series earlier in the playoffs, his dad, after they won the deciding game, came on the court and was taunting Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Bucks star
that's
player.
right. I saw
Yeah,
that.
to where he was banned for most of the playoffs from sitting courtside, but they let him back during the championship series. So,
But is Giannis getting traded?
shut up. If you only follow ESPN, you would think so.
That's what everyone was talking about.
Even
for
though
a couple weeks.
Giannis has come out and said, I don't want to be traded. I want to win another championship here.
You know how it goes, though.
Oh,
You never know.
ESPN has just become speculations. It's like they don't do real analysis on sports anymore. They just speculate and just stir up controversy.
Well, yeah.
It's like that's all they live for.
Yeah, rage baiting.
Yeah, it's
That's all
not
they do.
even, I can barely watch any of their shows
I remember
anymore.
SportsCenter back in the day, and it was,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
a lot more fun. Very
Oh, yes.
more news centered, I guess.
Yeah,
you could say,
exactly.
Highlight centered.
Exactly.
But now it's just Stephen A. and
It's all opinion based.
Marcus Spears, and,
Mm-hmm.
whoever, Mike Greenberg, and all them arguing with each other.
Kendrick Perkins.
Hendrick Perkins.
So I can't stomach it. But next year there'll be a change with the NBA because current broadcast contracts have run out. You're going to see more on the streaming platforms. I think Amazon, I know NBC has gotten the contract.
Mhm.
ESPN has the contract. TNT or Turner Broadcasting lost out, but the very popular Inside the NBA is apparently moving to ESPN next year with Ernie Johnson, Kenny the Jet Smith, Charles
Shaq.
Barkley, and Shaq.
It's going to be Stephen A. and
Yeah, that's a joke. Is then they'll probably add Stephen A. and a woman on the panel.
I mean, ESPN and Stephen A. basically made his name
Mm,
on just making fun of the Cowboys.
that's
Their
true.
whole shtick.
No, you're right.
That's how ESPN stays
Yeah.
relevant. Is half of them hate the Cowboys.
He used to do the midday ESPN radio show, and I used to kind of enjoy listening to that, but I guess he got too big for it. So now they just have him on
I
whatever.
thought he still did the radio show, unless he
I don't
quit
think
the past
so.
couple months.
No, not on ESPN radio. He does do a
Interesting.
podcast.
That could be it.
Yeah, but he gets even more into like politics and such
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
No. I mean, he used to be like the NBA guy, like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was always kind of an NBA expert, but now he's the all-around, although he doesn't know a lot about baseball. So there's that against him.
Yeah. You don't like that.
No. But what a great weekend for LSU, and just watching the game and seeing the crowd there. I mean, the LSU fans that travel to Omaha to see the team, it's just spectacular. I thought T-Bob was at the game. T-Bob Hebert, the former
Barstool guy now.
Yeah, now he's with Barstool. Was on off the bench in the morning on our ESPN station. So they replaced him with Matt Flynn on that show. So T-Bob is now more of a national figure, I guess.
Barstool is the new ESPN. Like they just kind of dig into the ridiculousness, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Portnoy, very shrewd businessman. He's done well. One bite, everybody knows the rules.
Yeah, pizza. I enjoy the pizza segments.
Yeah,
that's about it.
The pizza segments are good. And I don't know. I haven't really ventured into that area of listening to sports. I know that they have a channel like on XM you can listen to, and of course a lot of language on there. It's like guys just sitting around talking sports.
So it's like real sports.
Yeah, like if they're just sitting in a bar.
I mean, it's a good idea.
That's the name, Barstool.
That's it, man.
So, and then, Clay Travis, who does our midday show here on KSYL, he actually got his start in online sports media as well with a website called Outkick.
Outkick, yeah.
Which was Outkick the coverage. The whole premise starting out was he would talk about men who had women that were way hotter than they should have had, including himself. And so he also kind of weaved sports talk into there. And it grew, and then he eventually sold it. I'm not sure to whom, but he sold it and then parlayed that into the success he has now.
Went from talking about outkicking his coverage to the Iran-Israel nuclear crisis.
Yeah, and probably still outkicking his coverage from that standpoint.
I could imagine.
So I think you and I outkicked our coverage too.
I say it every day. I'm surprised she's staying in formation.
I told Stephen Maxwell 10 years ago the kind of woman you would marry. Would you have believed it?
No, I don't think so. She puts up with me.
Yes, she does. All right, we need to take a break, and Stephen, give a little preview of what we'll get into next. Obviously, the big weekend story. We want to break that down a little bit. Lots to talk about from that standpoint as we continue here on a Monday Talkback.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Investors will focus on other issues besides geopolitical tensions this week. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell spending 2 days on Capitol Hill, updating lawmakers on the economy and monetary policy. Also this week, we get reports on home sales. The New York Times reports that real estate brokerage Compass has sued Zillow, the largest real estate site in the country, saying that Zillow is in an anti-competitive conspiracy to keep a monopoly on digital listings of homes. Zillow receives close to 230 million unique visitors a month to its site and maintains a database of around 160 million properties, while Compass sells the most houses in the country. Both companies have been feuding ever since Compass made certain listings available just to their agents and buyers. Used Teslas are going for bargain prices. According to TrueCar, a used 2021 Model 3 with less than 50,000 miles is selling for under $15,000. One of the reasons cited for the decline in prices is the expanding supply of off-lease cars being sold by rental companies. Dan Schwartzman, Bloomberg Radio.
This summer, the Rapides Parish Library is turning up the volume and getting all jazzed up. Whether you're a cool cat or a little bebopper, there's something happening every week at your local branch. Live performances, hands-on crafts, cool programs for kids, teens, and adults. And yes, plenty of reading, too. Shake off that summer slump and keep the whole family learning and creating and having a blast. Read what you love, track your minutes, and win prizes. Join the fun and get all jazzed up this summer at RPL.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BON Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BON Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. 70 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talk Back.
On a phrase you just word, weaponization ambitions. Are you saying there that the United States did not see intelligence that the Supreme Leader had ordered weaponization?
That's irrelevant. I think that question being asked in the media, that's an irrelevant question.
No,
they have
that is
everything
the
they need
key
to build a
point
weapon.
in U.S. intelligence assessments. You know
No,
that.
it's not.
Yes, it was.
No, it's
that
not.
The political decision had not
I know
been
that better
made.
than you know that, and I know that that's not the case.
But
You don't
I'm
know-
asking
you
you
don't
whether
know
the
what you're
order
talking
was
about.
given.
And the people who say that, it doesn't matter if the order was given. They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons. Why would you bury things in a mountain, 300 feet under the ground?
Right.
Why would you bury why do they have 60% enriched uranium? You don't need 60% enriched uranium. The only countries in the world that have uranium at 60% are countries that have nuclear weapons. Because they can quickly make it 90. They have all the elements. They have. Why do they have a space program? Is Iran going to go to the moon? No, they're trying to build an ICBM.
No, but
so
that's a question. That's a question of intent, and you know, in the intelligence assessment, that it was that Iran wanted to be a threshold
How do you
state
know what
and
the
use this
intelligence
leverage.
assessment says?
I'm
How do
talking
you know
about
what
the
the
public
intelligence assessment
March
says?
assessment, and that's why I was asking you if you know something more from
but
March.
that's also
if
an
an order
inaccurate
was
representation of it. That's an accurate representation of it. That's not how intelligence is read. That's not how intelligence is used. Here's what the whole world knows. Now, forget about intelligence. What the IAEA knows. They are enriching uranium well beyond anything you need for a civil nuclear program. So why would you enrich uranium at 60%?
Right.
If you don't intend to one day use it to take it to 90 and build a weapon.
Right.
Why are you developing ICBMs? Why do you have 8,000 short-range missiles and 2,000 to 3,000 long mid-range missiles that you continue to develop? Why do you do all these things? They have everything they need for a nuclear weapon. They have the delivery mechanisms, they have the enrichment capability, they have the highly enriched uranium that is stored.
Yes.
That's all we need to see.
Right. Well, and
especially in the hands of the regime. That's our.
All right, that was Marco Rubio yesterday on Meet the Depressed Disgrace the Nation with Margaret Brennan. That's the Rush used to call it.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Margaret Brennan is.
Well, that was always been a weird talking point to me. Is like, well, they haven't given the orders to make nuclear weapons. Well, of course they're not. They're not going to say, hey, guys, we're making nuclear weapons.
Here we are.
These parts and pieces that we have to make them, that's not anything to do with it.
Right.
We're not making them because we didn't say we weren't making them. Like, that's just always been a weird talking point, whether you agree with the whole thing or not.
My favorite part was Rubio. They're going, no, they're not. No, they're not.
Marco's gotten a little salty.
Sounded
lately.
like in Elf. What
am I?
Like, no, you're not. But no, Rubio has become like, he has been to me kind of like on a sports team where you'll talk about the surprise star of a team that you didn't expect was going to be really good.
Yeah.
He's been kind of the unheralded surprise star of the Trump administration.
Well, he could be the heir apparent.
Could be, or if
JD
it's
Vance.
JD, it could be Rubio's VP. People are speculating that already.
Yeah.
But
we've gotten into like this weird political realm, especially on the right, the MAGA side, is we have a complete split with some of the MAGA talking heads compared with the president.
Yeah.
So it's a weird place to be right now for them.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and obviously, as we come back here on our Monday Talk Back, we can get in a little bit to the major news of the weekend, which was the U.S. bombing the nuclear sites in Iran. An incredible mission that we pulled off as far as getting in, getting out, zip in, zip out. It's like going to Czechoslovakia. But our planes were completely undetected. They weren't even in any shots fired at them.
Shots fired, yeah.
And the mission was complete as far as what the purpose of it was, which was to target these nuclear development sites and prevent them from developing a nuclear weapon. So now, to your point about how you have talking heads in the Republican Party, some people are very pro what Trump did. Some people are very against what Trump did. A lot of people are concerned this is going to drag us in another one of those never-ending wars. One thing we can mostly say from the left side of the aisle, they're almost all negative about it. So, but I know people are talking about, this is splitting MAGA. I don't know that it's splitting MAGA. I think it shows that within the Republican Party or more the conservative wing of things, you have maybe people that are not necessarily just in line with their thinking. They still kind of hold to their own thoughts or opinions on things, which, just because you disagree with President Trump on this doesn't mean you're going to completely not support him anymore. But I get the point. Nobody wants more of these crazy wars. I mean, these have accomplished nothing. What did we gain in Iraq and Afghanistan, right? Other than a lot of dead bodies and a lot of money spent. So from that standpoint, I get it. But at the same time, if we have intelligence saying that they're on the verge of having the capabilities of, talking about Iran, developing nuclear weapons, clearly how they've demonstrated themselves against Israel just to this point, we probably can't let that happen.
You completely understand the side where they're chanting death to America, death to Israel, while compiling components for nuclear weapons for over a decade now, longer than that.
Yeah.
And you could see where one side would say we probably shouldn't let this happen. So, but then again, we're seeing Russia get involved with it this morning. Their former president, what's his name, Medvedev? Yeah, he's saying that Iran could still get these nuclear weapons regardless of them making it. There'd be plenty of countries to give it to them.
Yeah, sure.
So it could escalate for sure. Absolutely.
It could. I don't see Trump being the type that wants to go to an escalated war. I'll be very surprised if he does, other than if the U.S. is attacked in some form or fashion. So we'll see. But it definitely was the major story of the weekend, no question.
Yeah, for sure. But you're going back to the different talking heads who were generally aligned with MAGA, like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. I mean, really coming out strongly criticizing the president over this decision. And let's be honest, it's kind of a shocking decision from the president. I don't say that I disagree with it. It's just a shocking decision I didn't think he would make.
Yeah.
So it is splitting a lot of people who thought that he wouldn't do something like this.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, he's been so against it from the Iraq War. You remember in the 2015 primary, he was going after Jeb Bush back in the day, saying it's a complete waste of time, no weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
And it's not the same situation here, but it's quite similar and something you didn't think the president would do.
I mean, even in his first term, though, there were a couple times where he did use precision attacks. Remember when they killed the general in Iran? Soleimani. Yeah. And this to me is more of a precision attack. Of course, you have the Democrats. Oh, it's an act of war and he should have gone through Congress. And they completely ignore how many bombs that Obama dropped.
I was about to say, it's gone both ways there.
So that's what kind of irks you, is that there's no consistency in the position a lot of times.
On both sides.
Yeah, on both sides. But especially it feels like on the left. When it's their president, they completely ignore it. But then all of a sudden Trump does one thing. It's like, oh, the end of the world. So,
I just don't see where it's in our best interest for Iran to have nuclear weapons.
Yep.
And this might be the way to stop them. And then you see headlines that really, I think, can be unfair to the president. This morning, they're like, okay, it might have been a successful mission, but but there's doubt about it actually going to the bunkers and destroying nuclear weapons. And then you read down 3/4 of the article, it's like, well, we just have no way of knowing. I was like, well, yeah, we only have satellite images. The government didn't just let us in like, hey, y'all can take some pictures and see what's underneath the ground here, 1,000 feet underneath the ground.
Our modern media has gotten to where
it's clickbait.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I respect there's a gentleman, Dan Turrentine. I don't know if you know him, but apparently he does some kind of radio show. He's a Democrat, former chief of staff, calls himself a Politico. He says, it was too depressing to write this last night after we got off the air, so I went to bed, but it needs to be said by more Democrats. This was not an impeachable offense, and Trump did not need congressional approval for one precision attack under the circumstances, just as Obama did not when striking bin Laden. Why can't our party just say it's great we achieved the objective and destroyed Iran's nuclear sites? God bless the soldiers who carried it out and made it home safely. God bless our country, military, allies, and we look forward to a full intel briefing. If one must then assert congressional authority at the moment, add that any escalation will require congressional approval. And if you must, express concern for where this may go and what might come next. But for so many in my party to knee-jerk with unhinged calls for impeachment and sadly omit in their statement support for Iran not having nuclear weapons, which has been a principle of our party for 40 years, is truly TDS. All right, I respect that.
There is no way that either side is going to congratulate the other side whatsoever. And we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And they have got to stop with the constant impeachment talks.
Yeah.
It's not working. If anything, it just emboldens the right and it gins up a base to them, makes them look like a victim. Just stop.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
I agree.
The outrage is just getting old.
Yep. All right, we need to take a break. We'll come back with your calls right after this.
KSYL. Hello, I'm Dr. Noah Miller. I'm the new guy at the clinics. I'm a family medicine physician from Vedrine, Louisiana, and I'm now accepting new patients. Call today for an appointment. The clinics offers a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, urgent and acute care, on-site lab and x-ray as well. Same-day appointments are available, and we accept most insurance and Medicare. Experience exceptional care at the clinics. 1587 North Bolton. Call 445-9823 or reach us online at theclinics.us. Looking forward to seeing you at the clinics.
All of us have that one friend who can just light up the room with a smile. And sadly, how many of us are just a little bit envious of that friend? Well, here's the good news. The folks over at Today's Dental in Pineville can deliver that beautiful beaming smile. Over the years, hundreds of hopeful patients have visited and been completely satisfied. They've made getting dental implants an amazingly simple, low-anxiety procedure, one that's affordable for anyone's budget. The staff at Today's Dental go out of their way to make you feel comfortable with calming in-office IV sedation that's administered by a highly skilled, certified nurse anesthetist. And their multiple finance options make the entire procedure truly affordable. Isn't it your turn to light up that room? Give Today's Dental a call at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility on Highway 28 East in Pineville, owned by Dr. Jonas Gauthier. That's 448-4540.
Got a big day ahead of you? Then it's best to fuel up with some of St. best at Bricato's Restaurant. Walk right in and just smell that home-style cooking. Place your order, take a seat, and do breakfast right till 9:30 this morning. Get fresh biscuits, eggs any way you like them, melt-in-your-mouth pancakes, grits, hash browns, sausage, bacon, even wraps and sandwiches. And don't forget their fresh brewed coffee. Bricato's Restaurant, 28 West, right across from the Coliseum. Your breakfast is waiting for you.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
In particular, God, I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
That was President Trump on Saturday night when he came out and made a statement following the mostly peaceful bombing of Iran. Putting that in Democrat terms.
That was on point. I watched that whole thing Saturday night. It was fine. And I'm not making fun of anything. It's a serious situation. But when he got to the God part, it felt a little stilted for a second there. He's like, God,
we love you.
We love you, guys. I'm like, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
I came out. Not being sacrilegious.
He seemed a little emotional, maybe just.
Could be. It was a big deal.
Proud of the troops that carried it out. So I saw where Hegseth talked about our boys carrying it out, and then the New York Times fact checked that and said there in fact was a woman on the crew. I was like, really?
I just don't see how that's beneficial whatsoever.
It's like, come on. All right, we've got a lot of phone calls coming on the BOM Bank Talk line. Let's get to those. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for taking my call. You were right about one thing. The left's incredibly consistent on one thing. They will go the other way from whichever way Trump goes. And I wish Rubio. I was pleased with his performance, but I wish he would have said, when she's saying, "Well, we don't know if they gave the order. We don't know if I wish he would have pointed out, are you willing to bet your life on that? Because this is what this is. This is a high stakes game. It's not like World War II, where they were concerned about the size of battleships and how many carriers one side had. These are weapons truly of mass destruction. And yeah, they may be trying to get it through other routes, but we know they were burying something under a mountain that they were trying to get through that method. And so I think this strike is going to do a lot of things. I think it's going to retard the Iranians' ability, the ones who say every day when they close their Knesset, death to America, death to Israel. And then it's going to say a lot to the other bad guys around the world, that we have a president at this time who is willing to mow the grass. He's willing to address a threat, and he has no interest in putting boots on the ground. The Democrats all over Facebook, the argument pages, they're all saying, oh, endless war, endless war. They said nothing about that when Biden wrote a blank check for Ukraine. You know, they're willing to give Ukraine anything up to and everything we had. You know, but now they're trying to say, oh, don't get us in another endless war. Nobody wants an endless war. And what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan needed to happen. They just needed to get out. Bush's arrogance in trying to nation build is what made that go awry. But the fact that when we perceive a threat, we deal with it, that has got to be what we're known for, or else we don't last. That's just, it's a high stakes game. Anyways, I thought it was glorious. He was a little awkward talking about God because I don't think he's a guy that's gone to church much. You know, look, I wish he was George Washington. I wish he was eloquent. I wish he had his God talk down. But I'm glad he mentioned it. And I'm glad he's doing what he's doing now. I know he may have lived the rest of his life like an international playboy. But right now, I think he puts America first, and that's refreshing. And it makes me feel better as a grandpa knowing when I leave, we're moving in a direction where my family will be safer than they were before. Anyways, thanks. Yep. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you too.
Yeah, it's one of those things that when it comes to foreign policy, I think with your family and friends, it's something we all shouldn't lose friends over because it's such a complicated situation.
Yeah.
Like, even like Marco Rubio's like, how do you know? We don't know a lot. There's a ton of stuff we just aren't privy to, and it's not worth getting mad at mom or dad or brother and sister about. It's just a complicated thing.
Yeah. I mean, you saw people right away, the reaction was, Trump's getting us into war. It's like, nah, not quite.
It's getting us closer. We don't know if it's going to happen, but it definitely didn't help. Well, maybe it could help avoid something worse one day. You just don't know.
That's what we hope.
Yeah.
Hope and pray. Another call. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
So I'm a little slow on the uptake, but are you telling me that Iran are bad guys? That they're not for America?
Death to America.
That's what we're understanding.
Right. It's only been that way since 1979.
Yes.
I know we're a bunch of slow learners in America, but I mean, come on, these are the bad guys. They always have been. They always will be until they change their direction. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And another thing, did we build all those B-2 bombers just to be museum pieces? I mean, aren't we? Don't we have them for a reason?
I believe so.
Give me a break. So this is crazy. The Democrats talk about, endless war. It was a 36-hour mission. That's hardly endless.
Hey, it's not just Democrats. A lot on the right are saying the same thing. A lot of his supporters.
Like, are you talking about Candace Owen and
Candace Tucker? Yeah.
Yeah, those are media personalities. Those aren't politicians. I mean, come on, give me a break. Those Tucker Carlson, whoever's in power, he's against so he can get clicks and get an audience.
No. I'm not saying I disagree with you, but yeah.
Candace Owens thinks the world's flat. Give me a break.
No,
she thinks we didn't go to the moon.
What? We didn't?
She thinks we didn't. She thinks we didn't go to the moon. Yeah, I mean, come on. That's who you're listening to, and you're saying that they're viable sources for international policy? Give me a break. Now, as far as being complicated, it's not complicated. It's simple. They're the bad guys. They want to destroy America. Trump's retarded that effort, slowed them down, and gave us a window of increasing safety. That's what happened. It's not complicated.
We're going to have to cut you off because you used the word retarded, and we don't accept that on this show.
Oh, excuse me. He mentally challenged them. Is that better?
It was a mostly peaceful. It was a mostly peaceful bombing. Just keep that in mind.
How about this? He put them back on the short bus. Will that help you out?
There you go.
Hey, I'm not a Candace Owen guy or a Tucker Carlson guy, but they were just media personalities. So was Trump till he became president. So you never know what could happen.
Just a media personality? You're talking about a guy that $1 billion real estate fortune. He's just a media personality?
He was a big media personality.
Apparently, they have put The Apprentice back on the air now, or you can access it. For a while, quite a while, you couldn't. You weren't able to watch it online or anything, but I guess now it's back on there. So,
well, I promise you this. I'll watch the Milwaukee Brewers before I watch The Apprentice.
Before he watches the what?
The Apprentice.
Oh.
Hey, we appreciate the support.
You need it.
You're right. Thank you so much for the call. We appreciate it. We need to take a quick break, and we have more of your calls coming up here on Talkback.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind.
As an adult, kids want to know you're listening to them, but they also want to listen to you. When it comes to alcohol, they want to know your expectations and how and why to avoid underage drinking. Talking early and often about it in everyday conversations reinforces your message and keeps lines of communication open. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
I'll be by your side.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, before we get back to the calls, let me remind you that coming up at 11:30 this morning over at the Main Street Community Center in Pineville, this month's North Rapids Business and Industry Alliance meeting, which will serve today as a platform to showcase the city of Pineville and its ongoing efforts and achievements in different sectors. So we'll hear what's going on with the city. We'll also hear from other local leaders. There'll be a weather update with meteorologist Tom Konvicka and Nick Mikulas from Sunlaw Weather. So again, 11:30 over at the Main Street Community Center. Normally they have these at Louisiana Christian, but with summer camps going on, they can't have it in the Granbury Conference Center again until, I guess, maybe August or September. So today it'll be over at the Main Street Community Center.
Hey, speaking of the Main Street Community Center, they have that public forum on education tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. So it's going to be the superintendent there, Jeff Powell. There's going to be the sheriff, Mark Wood. Legislators are invited, and just different city leaders talking about how the laws in education changed over the session.
Great. So a lot going on over in Pineville right now. Let's go back to our phones. Good morning, you're on Talkback.
Good morning. I'd like to flip back to what your comments were on the World Series. Did I hear it right that you were advocating that a man who's worked all his life to be an umpire and get to where he is, that because of a call that you didn't agree with and the man was enforcing the rules, he should lose his job and never officiate at a game like that again because he followed the rules? Is that what you were advocating? Is that what you said?
That is what I said. You are right.
You really believe that?
Look, I get the rule. I get that you can't argue balls and strikes, but my point is in that moment with that much on the line, as an umpire, you've got to have a little more cool, and that umpire lost his cool way too quick.
About 3 times I tell you to do something and you don't do it. And I give you a hand.
I'm a little hard-headed.
Move back.
So it might...
And what do you think about the umpire who ended up on his back because that coach kept advancing towards the home plate umpire? Everything's okay. Everything's okay. And you wonder why there's so much problems with getting umpires. And at children's games, when even if it's a little league playoff, we should just suspend the rules because it's a high stakes game. You have rules there to protect the umpire. That rule is there to protect the umpires. And you said, did you see the game?
I did, yes.
Did you see the look in that coach's eye and how he kept advancing? You don't think that there could have been a physical altercation in there, and that's what that rule is to prevent?
I don't think it would have been.
You still want a man who's worked all this time to get to where he is to be able to call a game like that and lose his job because he might.
I didn't say lose his job. I did say he shouldn't work the College World Series again.
That's what I'm saying. And you know how that does. It just comes down the line. Well, maybe we ought to get you out because you can't work the World Series, so there's no use putting you in the lineup. And maybe now for the regional,
Might just want to look up his history and why he's not in Major League Baseball. So anyway, you're not going to agree with me, and I appreciate your call. So thank you so much. Again, 442-8255.
Didn't expect that, did you?
Hey, it's okay. You can disagree with me. So that's just how I feel about it. That's how he feels about it.
I think what you're trying to say is like the magnitude of that game was really necessary to take out one of the most important coaches in the game.
Absolutely. It changed the complexion of the game.
As an LSU fan, I think I'd be a little irritated about it because they'd be like, well, if we didn't have our coach.
Well, yeah, exactly. So it just took away from the moment of the game. That's my point. I would feel the same way if it was at the Major League level. Now, I agree with his point. I think at the youth level, people need to chill.
I was about to say, it's a lot more serious at Little League. That's a different
But these guys are getting paid to do their job. So it comes with the territory.
In those games, Meemaw and Pawpaw can rush the field and start some real trouble. I've seen it many times. I coach Little League baseball. That ain't no joke. Never do it again.
Learn the hard way.
Never do it again.
So, okay. All right. So appreciate his call and feeling that way. And I'm sure there are a lot of LSU fans that probably feel the same way.
Yeah, probably so.
Nothing brings out passion like sports. It's like people get more upset about what happened on the sporting field than what happens in an international political situation.
Well, you should consider publicly apologizing to that umpire.
Probably won't. Speaking of which, Major League Baseball, they can't get the ABS system in place soon enough.
What is that?
So that's the automatic ball and strikes where they use the cameras and the computer technology to determine, because there was a game the Brewers had the other day in Chicago in the ninth inning. The umpire missed three strike calls. That would have been strike three.
So, okay, I'm a big fan of technology, improving our lives, making our lives easier, being more accurate. But there's something about it, I don't want it to be in baseball. Like just the human aspect of it. The human error makes baseball. It's just like a microcosm of our civilization.
Wait. What about the NFL?
That's different. That's like a game of inches and yards.
Baseball's a game of inches.
We do have to work on holding calls. We need a computer to tell us that was not a holding call. Or that was not
or that the Chiefs hold on every play.
Or personal foul or whatever. What is it called where you barely bump the quarterback and he gets 15 yards?
Man. Yeah, roughing the passer.
Unnecessary roughness.
Roughing the passer.
Lord have mercy.
Is ridiculous. So
I said baseball.
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenla Broadcasting.
FM 104.9, AM 970, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3 HD3, Alexandria. It's 8 o'clock.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Iran's ambassador to the International Atomic Energy Agency is condemning U.S. strikes on 3 nuclear facilities in his country over the weekend.
These unlawful attacks may have far-reaching and devastating environmental consequences, posing serious risk.
President Jaffe says his country reserves the right to defend itself as Iran and Israel continue to trade missile strikes today. There are mixed messages coming from the White House, where the president says damaging those facilities wasn't the only goal. Correspondent Weijia Jiang.
It has long been U.S. policy not to explicitly call for regime change because it could lead to an escalation in tension and undermine diplomacy. While his top advisors say that has not changed, President Trump floated the idea amid those fears and questions about how Iran could retaliate to this weekend's strike.
Democrats and some Republicans are concerned President Trump didn't notify Congress the attacks would take place. Alaska's GOP Senator Lisa Murkowski tells CBS Mornings.
We need to have the conversation about the role of Congress if in fact we are going to see a more expanded scope, certainly if there are boots on the ground.
Police near Detroit say 2 security guards stopped a mass shooting at a church yesterday morning. One of them was shot in the leg. CBS's Nikki Baptiste.
Chaos inside the Cross Point Community Church in Wayne, Michigan, just after gunshots rang outside.
Please, everybody come to the back.
About 150 parishioners, including many children, running to safety after police say 31-year-old Brian Anthony Browning started shooting as he approached the building.
That's when a parishioner passing by in a pickup truck wounded the suspect. Police say 2 church staff members shot and killed him. Sean Combs' sex trafficking and racketeering trial could enter a new phase today. After more than 5 weeks of testimony from about 36 witnesses, prosecutors are expected to rest their case, paving the way for the defense to take its turn. States from Midwest to Northeast and down into the Deep South will bake today with temperatures in the high 90s and low 100s. This man's bracing for 98 degrees today and 102 tomorrow in Columbia, South Carolina.
With this kind of weather, man, it's just good for you to come prepared. Like I said, lots of water and take plenty of breaks. And at my age, slow down a little bit. But always want to get out and get moving.
S&P futures are up 4. This is CBS News.
Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundle today at Progressive.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Jeff Palermo. The LSU Tigers are national champions for an 8th time after beating Coastal Carolina 5-3 yesterday to sweep the championship series of the College World Series. This fan says LSU's 2 aces were the difference as they neutralized Coastal Carolina's hitters.
2 great pitchers we had. We started out yesterday with Cade, come back today with Ison. We had the best 2 pitchers in the country, and let's rock.
The offense did just enough in the College World Series. Chris Stanfield broke a 1-1 tie with a 2-run single in the 4th inning. Stanfield, who transferred in from Auburn, says Coach Jay Johnson sold him on the vision of winning another national championship.
You know, he's the man. Like, I say that all the time, but like, we come in and we know, what our jobs are, and he lays it out for us and makes it very, very easy to understand. So for us to just go out there and be ourselves and play our game, like that's what LSU is.
Louisiana Radio Network.
Blended families, bonus children, and co-parenting can bring amazing experiences, but it can also be overwhelming and complicate your estate plan. How can families navigate the process when entering into this wonderful journey? I'm George Fine with Fine Legal Services. When it comes to your family's questions, our team can make planning for the future seamless and transparent. Call your Alexandria, Louisiana attorneys, George Fine and Jeremy Cedars, at 318-767-2226 to learn more, or visit fine-lawyers.com.
LSBA number LA2316294.
Well, good morning. Sunny skies in store for Sunday's Monday. Not a bad day at all. Afternoon highs will get up to about 93 degrees. That heat index getting really high, close to 100 degrees this afternoon. Winds out of the east, southeast at about 5 to 10. And we've got about a 10 to 15% chance of an isolated afternoon shower or thunderstorm. 73 the overnight low tonight. 92 the high tomorrow. Looks like that chance of an afternoon shower as well. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Grayson. Currently 76 degrees in Cenla.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
All right, we're back for hour number 2 of Talkback here on a Monday. Al Quartermont, Stephen Maxwell, and we have open line this hour continuing at 442-8255 on the BOM Bank Talk line. Anything you'd like to talk about if we want to continue discussing the strike on Iran this weekend, taking out, hopefully, most of their nuclear weapons program. If you want to talk more about the LSU baseball win, national champions, love it. Love it. Amazing pitching, timely hitting, pretty solid defense, especially in the championship series. LSU really putting it all together. If you want to take exception to what I said about the umpire, that's fine too. We take all comers here on Talkback.
Hey, you call in and you let him hold his ground on that.
I was just perusing what people are saying online about that. I seem to be in the majority opinion. Let me just say it that way.
No ejecting callers over any
No ejecting
disagreements.
callers, yes.
You're good.
As long as you don't say anything bad about my mother or anything like that.
That's true. That's over the line.
Yes, that's where we draw the line. So that's what's pretty much going on today. Did you see this incident in Michigan yesterday? This church shooting?
Oh, yeah. The deacon.
Yeah, so a 31-year-old guy, and I'm kind of perusing the Detroit News here. They're saying that he was armed with an AR-15, more than a dozen fully loaded magazines, another handgun with an extended magazine, and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. That his mother is a member of the church and has attended services there 2 or 3 times over the last year. I mean, does that make you a member if you only go 2 or 3 times? I guess in a lot of churches it does. Anywho.
He's a holiday goer.
Yeah, so apparently he rammed the church with his vehicle. He was driving around erratically. Then he exited the vehicle in a tactical vest, armed with a long gun and a handgun, then began shooting at the church. Church member noticed it and actually drove and hit him with his pickup truck. And then the security team was alerted. They exchanged fire with him. They shot and killed him. One of the security personnel was shot in the leg, was listed in stable condition after surgery. So it is a sad reality, though. But a lot of churches now are going to having armed security guards because they're viewed as one of those soft targets that people want to attack, similar to a school. But, yeah, I don't know what the story is with this guy, but
we had a similar, in my previous place of employment in Shreveport, we had a guy go into a Bossier City church with a gun, and they stopped him immediately.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's a scary situation. I mean, we have churches with security cameras, like you said, security guards.
Yeah.
It's a weird place to be in the world.
I know that a couple of years back that the Grand Parish Sheriff's Office was doing security type sessions with churches where they were training them on how to be aware and how to respond and those sorts of things. And there's one of the large churches in Grand Parish near Bentley that when you drive past there, in fact, there are a couple of them when you drive past on a Sunday morning or a Wednesday night, they've got a deputy's vehicle with the lights on just to alert people, let them know.
Yeah, 100%.
Probably not the church you want to attack right now.
Yep. Yeah.
In general, I probably wouldn't advise people attacking any rural churches.
Probably not a good idea anymore.
Yeah, we went to a wedding up in Texarkana Saturday, and it was about midway through the wedding, not even midway, a couple minutes into the wedding, and I noticed the guy standing in front of me. I looked down, and he had a gun holstered right on his side there. So I felt safe.
Felt good about it.
I did.
Did you go anywhere to eat in Texarkana?
We did, actually. Well, other than the wedding food, yesterday morning, we went to, I don't know, it was some kind of bougie cafe because I was with my wife and then her friends were there and they wanted to go to this place.
Was it downtown?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
It was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So I just it's breakfast. I just want scrambled eggs and bacon.
Just give me some meat and eggs.
That's all I need. I'm good. But yeah, their downtown is kind of cool. They have the Ross Perot Theater there, or the Perot Theater, named for Ross Perot, who's from Texarkana. They have a big mural on one of the buildings down there honoring Scott Joplin, one of the ragtime musicians.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
You heard the song "The Entertainer"? I would think you probably have heard the tune. If you don't
Oh yeah.
It was in the movie 1973 movie, I think it was. Gosh, what movie was that? I'll think of the name in a second, and someone will probably call and tell us. And then Otis Williams is from there, one of the original Temptations. In fact, the only still living original member of the Temptations.
Oh wow! I spent some time in Texarkana the past 2 years working up there.
Yeah, it's actually a nice little town.
It's not too bad.
Yeah,
not too bad.
Not too bad. But a lot of downtowns, they kind of have that similar vibe to them. But that restaurant we went to was really kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
like a life support vibe is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To some extent, but it was clean and it looks like they renovated a lot of buildings. But then you get a couple of blocks away and you start noticing homeless people,
abandoned buildings,
things like that. So we see that a lot. All right, let's go to the phones here on the Beyond Bank Talk Line. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Good morning, Mr. Quarterman and Mr. Maxwell.
Hello, sir.
Good morning.
Mr. White, how are you?
Oh, Big Al. Look, I gave you a plug, Stephen. I was on a Moon show. He had a guest host, Mark Pope, and told them to go to your webpage and stuff and look at all the stuff on the CO2 Alliance interview and everything like that. So I gave a plug to you.
Oh, thank you.
So a lot of people should be looking from Lafayette and probably all over the state. Wanted to congratulate all the LSU people. That was a good game. I watched it on ABC and listened to it on the radio, and it's more fun to listen to it on the radio and watch TV. It's something that, but Al, I don't know about this stuff, but you can see where essentially machines going to be replacing man, and this AI, I call it the Antichrist intelligence. It's no good. But you're going to see it put into everything. That's why they're building all these AI centers all over the country and everything else. But in Iran, I was in the military police corps, and Reagan had just won the election. Our drill sergeants, I was at Anderson, Alabama, Fort McClellan. It's closed now. It used to be an Army Chem school, military police school, and it was the WAC. That was Women Army Corps. They were getting us ready, and like I said, I was in the Louisiana Army National Guard at Camp Beauregard, but they were telling us that it doesn't matter if you're in the Guard, Reserve, you're all going to war. If they don't release them hostages, you talk about some scared young fellas back then. But this has been about more than 40 years in the making, and I'm glad News Nation, they did a historical thing for how all of this came about.
Yeah.
We had elected somebody, the people of Iran, we wanted the Shah. So we deposed whoever they elected and took the Shah in. And we gave them nuclear technology back then. That was in the 50s. And then, he treated his people bad, and that's why we got the Ayatollah and all like that. But I'm hoping young people can come up and rise up. But if they don't have no guns or nothing like that, it'll be like the Bay of Pigs.
Yeah.
Just get slaughtered.
Yeah.
But it's been 40 years in the making, and where Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson are wrong, see, I support the Jews. I'm a Zionist. I believe that we have to defend the Jewish nation at all costs. It says, if you bless the Jews, God will bless you. If you curse the Jews, God will curse you. So I'm glad Trump did that. I know when he said 2 weeks, I just had a feeling, it's going to be 2 days. And he had told any of those congressmen, Democrat or Republican, that would have got out.
Yeah.
That boy sending them to Guam, sending half the unit to Guam.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to come the other way. That was a perfect strategy. But we're in the end times, gentlemen, so just get ready for anything. And I'm sorry about that church getting attacked. I tell everybody, Max and Al, they called me the God, Guns, and Gold Man, the Bible book.
I knew that was coming.
Gentlemen, and God bless and thank you for letting me speak.
All right, Big C, appreciate you. Have a good one. Again, 442-8255 here on Talkback. A couple of thoughts I had while he was speaking there. I was listening to America in the Morning driving in, and they were interviewing kind of an expert on Iran, and he was saying that they kind of call the government of Iran or the leadership of Iran the 4% club, because 96% of the people, this guy said, in Iran want to see a change.
Mm-hmm.
They want a new regime. And we've seen a couple of times where any attempts at an uprising or an overthrow have been met quickly and violently by the regime. And they've done unspeakably horrible things, especially to women through the years. It's sort of interesting that you find a lot on the left almost defending Iran when, if you talk about human rights violations, particularly against women, that seems like a major inconsistency in every way. So, and I've also read in pockets where underground Christianity is really growing in Iran, but people are afraid to show it. They can't really show it because, again, they'll be met with imprisonment and torture and things like that. So, but I don't know. Maybe it's time for this pretty evil regime to come to an end.
Well,
that's what I hope.
No, I think the vice president said we're not interested in a regime change. Of course, we'll see how that pans out. And he's talking about direct U.S. involvement.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm waiting for like the president to maybe, because he likes to punch back.
Yeah.
But punch back at, like, have you seen Marjorie Taylor Greene's statements lately?
Yeah.
Congresswoman from Georgia.
Yeah.
Very, very right wing.
Mm-hmm.
Usually on the president's side.
Mm-hmm.
She's criticizing once in a while.
Right.
But she says, I don't know anyone in America who's been the victim of a crime or killed by Iran. I don't know about that. But I know many people who have been victims of crime committed by criminal, illegal aliens or murdered by cartel and Chinese fentanyl drugs. Almost everyone in our country can relate to this fact. However, America has not dropped bunker busters on the cartel's sophisticated drug tunnels, launched tomahawks, blah, blah, blah. Neocon warmongers beat their drums of war and act like Billy Bad-A's going to war in countries most Americans have never even seen and can't find on a map. But never find the courage to go to war against the actual terrorists who actually do kill Americans, invade our land, and make billions doing it day after day, year after year. I think we might underestimate sometimes, too, how big the isolationist faction is in that side of his party.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people who that might have been one of the main reasons they voted for him.
Yeah, if not isolationist, then at least tired again of the endless wars. And I think, especially if you go back to the Biden administration, it left such a foul taste in people's mouth, the pullout of Afghanistan, and seeing that parade with the Afghans showing billions of dollars of U.S. military equipment, not to mention the soldiers we had that were killed late in that war, and just the way that they were treated by the administration. I think people are just tired of seeing our young people go to places like Iraq, Afghanistan for what feels like nothing at the end of the day. I get it. And the danger with Iran is if you topple the regime, kind of similar to Iraq, then you have chaos. Because in Iraq, there was sort of a battle to get control after Saddam Hussein was ousted. And you had all the insurrectionists and all the violence that was being perpetrated, the rise of ISIS, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. With all of that, I don't think people want to see a repeat of that sort of thing. It's dicey for sure.
And then we see Russia saying that they're here to help Iran any way that they need. I mean, it just becomes, it's never just as easy as dropping bombs on something, right?
Yeah, we're hearing a lot today, too, about how they're closing the Strait of Hormuz, which with that, most of the oil that comes through that strait actually goes to China more than the U.S.
I think, what is it, like 5% of our oil?
Yeah, and like 60% of China's. So they don't want that. And there's debate whether Iran can even control that strait anyway.
But a lot of people in the MAGA movement are saying, oh, it's just another neocon.
Yeah.
And they're going to be upset about it.
Yeah. I mean, to this point, I don't think you can qualify what he did Saturday as being effectively a neocon move. I think it's more of a preemptive strike on them getting nuclear weapons, which, if you're going to be fair, he's having to clean up the mess of previous administrations, which sent uranium and cash to the Iranians.
No.
So there's that too. But all right, we'll take a break. More calls, 442-8255 here on Talkback.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Imagine walking where land meets sea, where every step echoes centuries of stories. This is the Portuguese coastal Camino de Santiago. From Porto's riverside charm to Galicia's wild coast, follow a path through fishing villages, ancient chapels, and windswept beaches. Walk the Camino. Feel the call. It's more than a journey, it's a transformation. Join our small group, escorted by Christine and Father Joy in May of 2026. FreedomTravelLLC.com, your international travel architects.
Attention all real estate agents, property owners, and lenders. When you or a client needs a real estate attorney, call the professionals at Thompson Law Firm. Whether the legal matter is basic or complex, the Thompson Law Firm can accurately guide you or your client to a successful outcome. That's why numerous industry professionals have trusted the Thompson Law Firm for years. They also handle estate planning, successions, and business law. Call them at 473-0052. I am a paid non-client attorney spokesperson. A message from Israel Air Conditioning and Heating.
Yeah, my mama, she told me to pick up and call Israel Air.
She told me Israel Air. She told me.
She said they'll come running with comfort beyond compare.
And a very fair price.
Because you know we're all about your comfort, no troubles. Call 442-6657. That's 442-6657. We're all about your comfort,
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BON Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BON Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, we're back. Alan and Stephen with you here on this Monday morning at 442-8255. A lot to talk about today, especially in relation to the weekend news with the strike in Iran and all the fallout that has come from that, especially politically. A lot of debate going on, even within the Republican Party, on whether that was the right move. Time will tell. But for now, it's what the president decided to do. He's standing by it, as well as his top leadership. It's interesting that they didn't tell people that were sitting on certain committees or whatnot, especially on the other side of the aisle. And then you almost wonder, is that just because they don't trust them?
Did you see that clip of, because, Bernie Sanders is on the, what's it called, Fight Oligarchy tour across the U.S.?
Yes.
And he was, I think it was his Tulsa rally, maybe after he was in Shreveport. And someone yelled out in the crowd, "We just bombed Iran." And he just kind of looks at her, and then everyone's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then his aide comes and brings up this briefing, and then he reads it to the crowd. It's just kind of like an interesting moment to see where one of the top Democrats in the Senate was unaware.
That is interesting.
Well, not surprising,
right?
But it was interesting to watch.
I saw he was in Shreveport this weekend too.
I think that was after the Shreveport rally.
Okay.
I think he was in Tulsa. Not 100% sure.
All right.
Yeah. But someone just yelled out in the crowd, and it's just a weird world we're in now where we can get news quicker than sometimes.
Yeah.
The top U.S. officials.
Yeah. I mean, especially through social media and everything with Twitter. I mean, a lot of people, we've seen a number of contexts where people have learned information before it really should have gotten to them in the proper way. Yeah. So what are you going to do with that? It's just the world that we live in right now. Oh, I know something Cornelius had mentioned about AI as well. That is truly only going to grow more and more. And yeah, we're looking to have these major AI centers built. I mean, where's it going to end? I think we're going to see more robots probably even used like in battle.
Yeah, I mean, I use ChatGPT a decent amount for a number of different things. It can really help too.
It can, but
some minute things done.
One of my daughters posted something over the weekend about how they did a study on younger people that are using AI and how it is kind of destroying their ability to think critically.
Well, that's just technology in general.
That's
like
probably
Google too,
true.
you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Remember like those conversations we used to have, like, who was in that movie, or what was the fact that about this and that and the other? We don't have those conversations anymore. You can just look it up. I miss those pointless conversations.
Oh, speaking of which, thank you to our listener who texted in to remind me that it was The Sting. That was the movie with that song, The Entertainer.
Never seen that.
You never saw The Sting?
I don't think so.
That was with Paul Newman, I believe. Google it.
Paul Newman. Got it.
But no, you're right. And then sometimes I'll have even my students will ask me a question. And I'll say to them, you couldn't have just Googled that to find out?
Yeah, why weren't you looking this
up? It's funny
up?
that they sometimes don't think of that as an option, whereas I use it all the time. If I have a question, just look it up. CNN had an article the other day. It shows one of those robots. It kind of looks like one of the Elon Musk robots. Maybe not exactly, but it says, have you ever noticed the popularity of white robots? The reason for these shades of technological white may be in racism, according to new research.
Oh.
And then someone left the most brilliant comment. He said, yeah, now imagine spray painting the robots black. CNN headline becomes owning black robots may be a sign of being pro-slavery.
Oh, I'm going to change the subject here, and they have this, I think they're releasing the Robotaxi in Austin.
In Austin,
today.
yeah, they are. Yeah. They are. So, but I thought that comment was brilliant.
A lot of people, I mean, there's just different parts of the country living in different worlds and different mindsets.
No doubt about it. I mean, technology in so many ways. I mean, now, like even when you Google, though, you're engaging in AI usually. If you ask it a question.
And that's what Google said they want to do.
Yeah.
It's this AI-powered search engine.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, I like it. I could see the harms of it.
Mm-hmm.
I could see the harms of television and radio, but I like it as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
But it can be manipulative. I mean, it's going to probably take out Hollywood. You just say, hey, I want a movie with Batman fighting, Spider-Man in the middle of China. And it could probably make it for you in 5 seconds.
In fact, it is.
That new Google VO3 is fantastic.
Yep.
The animation generator thing they have for AI, it's insane.
Yeah, like I said, they had that video a couple weeks ago where Trump and Elon are lamenting their breakup.
Yeah, someone just typed that in.
It was incredible. So I don't know where it's all going.
Or graphics too. I could be like, hey, I need a graphic for KSYL. I want it to look like this, and it's pretty darn good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I might need to start using that.
I know.
Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Yeah, a few minutes ago, I was doing a little Google search for the stock markets in the Middle East.
Uh-huh.
And stock markets are mostly all up. Saudi Arabia, stock market's up. Kuwait's up. Dubai's up. Egypt's up. That kind of indicates to me that people are happy Trump did what he did as far as Iran.
Right.
I've read that behind the scenes, all those countries really wanted the regime in Iran taken out.
Yeah, somebody had posted over the weekend, you're not seeing a lot of those countries stand up for Iran, that maybe they too see them as more of an issue or a problem than we even realize.
Yeah, that's what I've read several articles about that. I mean, they come out on the media and they make kind of these half-hearted criticisms of what Trump's striking them, but they actually are very happy because they did not want Iran to have nuclear weapons.
Right.
The fact that all that stock markets are up, that's pretty good indication they're happy with the situation.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. Appreciate the little tidbit on the stock market.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great Monday. Go ahead, Steve.
No, I don't know if we saw this, just an interesting take. Not a surprising one either. First American Pope, Pope Leo, says war does not solve problems. On the contrary, it amplifies them, inflicts deep wounds on the histories of people, takes generations to heal. No armed victory can compensate for the pain of mothers, the fear of children, or stolen futures. May diplomacy silence the weapons. May nations chart their futures with works of peace, not with violence and blood-stained conflicts. Not reading off everyone that disagrees with the administration's stance on the whole situation. It's just, I'm interested to see how the Pope reacts to everything, because we said it might be, with the first American Pope, it was a reaction to Trump. Maybe a little bit more left-leaning on some things. So interesting takes on things.
You know he's a White Sox fan, right?
At least he's not a Cubs fan.
That's right. Good point.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. The Wall Street Journal reports that New York Governor Kathy Hochul has directed the state's public electric utility to look into adding more than 1 gigawatt of new nuclear power generation. 1 gigawatt can power around 1 million homes. If the plant is built, it will be the first nuclear plant built in the country in more than 15 years. The president of the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, Mary Daly, says economic policy is in a good place. Daly was speaking at the Western Economic Association International Conference. She said risks to the central bank's employment and price stability mandates are roughly equal. Uber says the top issue preventing its drivers from switching to electric vehicles is not the price, it's access to chargers. The ride-hail giant says for the first time in 4 years, price wasn't the biggest factor. With just over a third of Uber drivers in the U.S. having dedicated home chargers, charging difficulties has become the main concern. Uber is, though, working to improve charging access through partnerships and a new tool to help cities decide on public charging locations. Dan Schwartzman, Bloomberg Radio.
When you think of real estate, one name is at the top of the list: Ritchie Real Estate. Matt and his team are experts when buying and selling homes, businesses, land, leases, or even industrial buildings. And at Ritchie Real Estate, they can even handle all of your property management needs. They make the entire process easy and as stress-free as possible. They are your full-service choice for anything in real estate. Trust the professionals and find them online at RitchieRealEstate.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-885-9700. 800-885-9700. That's 800-885-9700.
Well, good morning. Sunny skies in store for us on this Monday. Not a bad day at all. Afternoon highs will get up to about 93 degrees. That heat index getting really high, close to 100 degrees this afternoon. Winds out of the east, southeast at about 5 to 10. And we've got about a 10 to 15% chance of an isolated afternoon shower or thunderstorm. 73 the overnight low tonight. 92 the high tomorrow. Looks like that chance of an afternoon shower as well. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian. Currently 80 degrees in Cenla.
Now back to Talkback 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, Stephen Maxwell, Al Quartermont with you here on a Monday morning. 442-8255 on the BOM Bank talk line. Once again, if you didn't catch it in the first hour, coming up at 11:30 this morning over at the Pineville Main Street Community Center, we have this month's North Rapids Business and Industry Alliance meeting. It'll be all about Pineville today, all things Pineville.
Oh, beautiful hill in Pineville.
Yeah, as well as maybe a little weather with Nick and Tom. And I'm sure that Mayor Wilking will be there, and we'll probably hear from her also.
Narbia kind of kickstarted my career. You made me go to that meeting.
Yeah, this is an interesting story, actually. So this is when you were what? Were you a sophomore or a junior?
Sophomore.
Sophomore?
Had to be a sophomore.
As Al McGuire say, sophomore.
Yeah.
And I told Stephen, hey, you should go cover this North Rapids business meeting because then State Treasurer John Kennedy was speaking there. So Stephen reluctantly went as an assignment.
Because I didn't want to be a news reporter. There's no way I was going to do that.
And he actually put together a nice little story, and we posted it on our Wildcats media pages or whatnot. And the general manager at the time at KLV saw it, and their reporter had covered it as well. And she thought Stephen's story was so much better than their own reporters that she called the news director and said, "You need to call this kid and offer him a part-time job."
And you're like, "Hey, they want to hire you." I was like, "Oh, what's wrong with them?"
And thus the career was launched.
Yeah, it was, I remember just being so upset about having to go.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll never do news.
I didn't know you were upset about it.
I'll never do TV news. I wasn't upset. I was just kind of annoyed at my professor.
Well, I was good at that.
That's true.
I still tend to be a little annoying.
That's true. No, you're fine now.
But the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah. But yeah, Narbia today always have good speakers and has really good food.
That's true. The food is always very good. $20 to get in, by the way.
$20?
$20 bucks. Yeah, they've had to raise the price the last couple of years.
Because the food's so good.
I want to say a couple of years ago it was like 10, and then it went 12, then it went 15, and now we're up to 20.
I think it was 10 when I was there.
Last time I said I thought it was 15, and I got to the event, and I got yelled at because I was telling people it was 15. The ladies at the table were like, "You told everyone it was 15, it's 20. I was like, "Oh, I forgot."
You got to make up the difference.
Yeah, so I had to pay everyone's extra $5.
Oh my goodness.
Put me in the hole. No, just kidding. But it's 20. Now, if I get there today and it's 15, I'm going to be, well, I'll be pleasantly surprised, but
be 21.
But hey, things have gotten more expensive, especially over the last 4 years, and they've had to precipitously raise the cost. But you get a pretty good amount of food for $20.
Good speakers too.
Hey,
good
yeah,
community.
you're paying for the program and to support the organization, so it's only money, as they say.
Things cost. You got to pay.
You got to pay.
Also, tomorrow night at the Pineville Community Center on Main Street, they're having that public forum on education. The superintendent, Jeff Powell, is going to be there. The sheriff is going to be there. The mayors of Alexandria Pineville. All the local legislators are invited. So they're going to be talking about all the different changes we've seen in education, the changes in retirement, the changes in teacher pay. So if you have questions, you want to learn more, the Rapides Retired Teachers Association and the Cenla Retired Teachers Association is putting that on at 6 o'clock. Doors open at 5:30. And you can register on the spot. You could sign a card and put your question on there. They'll vet it and see if they want to ask it.
The whole education issue didn't get as much play during this session because it was more of a fiscal session. And certainly auto insurance was probably the dominating topic for sure. And then maybe the budget after it. They did give the teachers the stipend, the $2,000, and then for helpers, the $1,000. But other than that, there wasn't a lot of education-related news. I guess probably the biggest story education-wise was the Senate's decision to not fund the Gator program and the impact that could potentially have. But other than that, it seems like it was kind of quiet education-wise.
Yeah, and I think they're talking a lot of questions, too, about the different funds they had when it came to, what was that amendment that didn't pass, and how they're going to fund it in the future for those stipends. So just kind of the changes people could expect, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. And I think always, well, you also had, going back a few months ago, when people voted down that constitutional amendment, one of the things it would have done would have been to pay down the teachers' retirement debt what the state owes. And because right now a lot of the school districts have to send money in to help towards that debt, whereas if they didn't have to send that in, they could provide their own raises. That's how Jeff Powell has explained it. So I know he was very much behind that, but people did not like the fact that they folded into that one amendment all these different things. People seem to want to vote one at a time on that. And so here we are, still kind of stuck with that, which really makes no sense when you think about it. It's kind of foolish to be, if that's what we're spending our money on. It's unfortunate. All right, we need to take another break. More coming up.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
The clinics welcome Dr. Noah Miller, family medicine physician, to our team. Dr. Miller from Vadrine, Louisiana, is now accepting new patients. Call today to schedule your appointment. The clinics offers a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, urgent and acute care with on-site lab and x-ray. Same-day appointments are available, and we accept most insurance and Medicare. Experience exceptional care at the clinics, 1587 North Bolton. Call 445-9823 or look us up online at theclinics.us.
Did you know that 71% of all licensed real estate agents did not sell a single property in 2024? Hi, this is Trish Lala. When it's time to make the largest financial decision of your life, buying or selling a home, what's happening in the market really matters. The good news is you actually can still come out ahead if you place your trust in an agency with decades of experience handling all of those ups and downs. When experience matters, we're here for you. The Trish Lala Group.
From America's #1 travel radio show, I'm Robert Carey with today's RM World Travel Minute. Happy Monday, America. I hope you all had a pleasant weekend. You know, there are so many sectors in travel that I'm passionate about, but the aviation sector, it's certainly at or near the top. I love to fly, with helicopters being my favorite type of aircraft. And when you think of the commercial jets that we fly on, they really haven't changed much over the years. Yes, we have more composite materials now being used and some structural and technological enhancements that happened, but we're still flying in cylinders or tubes. Over the coming years, that's likely to change, and within 6 or 7 years, you could be flying on a triangle. Yes, a triangle. JetZero has agreed to invest nearly $5 billion in North Carolina, where the Wright brothers began flight, to build what they call a blended wing aircraft, and it's a radical departure from current design, folks. Go online and check out the JetZero Z4 plane that will carry around 250 passengers. United has already agreed to buy up to about 200 of them. Alaska and Delta Airlines are also expected to commit. And share your thoughts with me on this new type of aircraft at rmworldtravel.com/contact.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. Talkback.
And we're back on Soft Hits 970.
Very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't even know. It's Monday.
Yeah. Hey, I love soft rock from the 70s.
Do you?
The best, yes.
What would be your favorite band?
I mean, probably the Eagles.
REO Speedwagon.
I like Speedwagon. Yeah. But I would say the Eagles.
Yeah, they're good.
The Eagles and the Cars. I like the Cars, too.
I figured you were going to say the Cars.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff. Hey, a story that I wanted to get to last week, but we just never got to it. We had such a busy week last week. I don't know if you saw this. A few days after the regular session ended, there was basically an online discussion that was sponsored by, not the Pelican Institute, it's the other one, Public Affairs Research Council, PAR. And during it, Cameron Henry, the Senate president, was making some comments about Medicaid funding. He says the state is bracing for up to a $4 billion loss in Medicaid funding that could force the legislature back into a special session later this year. This all stems from the Big Beautiful Bill. And you're hearing a lot of talk about cuts to Medicaid, but everything I read, though, is they're trying to rid the rolls from Medicaid of people that can actually work, who are just sitting at home collecting checks. And I'm for that, personally. I think we have too many people that are content to not work and just get whatever money the government will send them. But, of course, a lot of this relates to what John Bel Edwards did while he was governor, and that was expand the Medicaid rolls, as you remember. But Henry's quote during this session was, if this bill passes, meaning the Big Beautiful Bill, we will absolutely call a special session, he said, to try to offset some of the cuts with additional state funding. Henry, who is a Metairie Republican, Also said lawmakers considered cutting state income taxes and sales taxes during the recent session, but they chose to wait due to uncertainty over federal budget cuts. Yeah, I'm sure that's why. Anywho, roughly 35% of Louisiana residents rely on Medicaid for health insurance. That's a lot.
How many was it again?
35% of Louisiana residents rely on Medicaid for health insurance. And the federal money accounts for more than 2/3 of the nearly $15 billion a year the state spends on Medicaid. Federal money.
Yeah.
2/3 of the $15 billion. Henry said he's been in talks with Senator Bill Cassidy to help protect Louisiana's hospitals, but the situation remains fluid. Many hospitals, especially in rural areas, depend on Medicaid money to survive. The Senate hopes to pass the bill soon and wrap up negotiations with the House and the Trump administration by the 4th of July holiday. The U.S. Supreme Court is expected to rule soon also on a case that challenges whether 2 current majority black congressional districts in Louisiana were drawn using unconstitutional racial criteria. A ruling against the map could prompt another special session to redraw the maps for a 3rd time in 2 years to ensure compliance before the 26 elections. But Henry has said during this webinar that he had not heard anything about possible special session from the governor to reconsider legislation involving drugstores and the middlemen who manage pharmacy drug benefits.
So does the legislature have to redraw that map? Again, they don't have
if
to.
If it's found to be unconstitutional.
Can a judge just do it? But I guess they wouldn't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Because, regardless if you agree with the other judge's ruling that there needs to be a second majority district, maybe there does. I'm not arguing anything about that. I'm just saying is the one they drew, that Cleo Fields now is the representative, is completely nonsensical.
Oh, I know. It is the epitome of racial gerrymandering.
Shreveport,
yeah,
through Natchitoches, through Alexandria, all the way to parts of Baton Rouge, and it just cuts it out there. I know Alan Seabaugh, conservative state representative, is leading that lawsuit. I think Thomas Presley, too, over in Northwest Louisiana, saying that it is racially gerrymandered, but the courts essentially require them to draw along racial lines. So, so it really comes down to, was it just drawn for racial boundaries? And if it is, then that would be possibly ruled unconstitutional. It's a weird situation. Yeah. It's a weird political fight, too, because, the AG and the governor have to support the map. So I don't know what's going to happen.
And I know Moon has devoted quite a bit of his time on his show over the last year about this with Paul Hurd when he comes on. And Hurd, right from the get-go, said the way they've drawn this map is completely unconstitutional. It will be overturned eventually. So, but the way they arrived at it is it's like the Republican legislature just kind of gifted this district to Cleo Fields. Didn't make a lot of sense to me or really to anyone.
Well, they kind of had to.
Well, they could have just said to Judge Dick, you do it. Like you're saying.
That's what I'm saying, give it back to the court.
They could have done that, and then it would have been on her if it was ruled unconstitutional. But the fact that a Republican governor and legislature essentially did this to create this second Democrat seat was kind of crazy.
It's a tough situation. It's going to be interesting to see what the court rules on that one, because we'll have to go right back to the drawing board, literally.
Yeah.
And the maps have always been an issue since the beginning, to favor one side.
Also, during that webinar that I'm referring to, Henry and State Representative Jack McFarland, who's a Republican from Jonesboro and is the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee, explained why the legislature provided less than half the money the governor had wanted for the Gator School Voucher Program. Landry had proposed $94 million in funding. Lawmakers approved $44 million, which pretty much was the current amount. The Gator program replaces a previous program that provided state money to send families state money to families to send their children to private schools. McFarland said the state's initial intent in providing vouchers was to help students leave D and F-rated public schools, not to subsidize families already paying private tuition. But most of the extra money that Landry saw would have gone to parents whose children are already attending private schools. So McFarland said that he didn't believe that that was the intention, and noted that funding is complicated by differences in per pupil costs between public and private schools. One thing to keep in mind with that, to me, this is me speaking, is whether you're sending your kids to a private school or not, you still are paying the same amount of taxes.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people criticize it because of the standards that the schools had to be held at. If it was a private school and they're getting public dollars, are they going to have the same standards as the public schools when it comes to enforcement?
Yeah.
And that's what Jeff Powell was talking about. That I think he said he'd like to see some more on that. But yeah, I mean, what was it, like 40 million less than what the governor was asking for?
Yes.
And I think there's, especially in the southern states, there seems to be an appetite for it. A lot of people want to see it done, and they want that option. Of course, you're going to say, if you're the other side say that it's going to decimate public schools, and then the other side would say, well, it would make the other public schools be more competitive and have to keep up with,
step up their game
and with the private schools.
Complex issue, for sure. We need to take another break. More coming up.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Want better insurance rates? Find them at Jim Thomasy Insurance. Bimmy, Patty, and Jason will do all the legwork and shop the best insurance rates available for auto, home, commercial, or watercraft. And with over 100 years combined experience, we're the team that'll get the job done right. Come experience the fast and friendly service at Jim Thomasy Insurance, 1117 Texas Avenue in the radio station building. Call 318-445-5344 for Jim Thomasy Insurance.
Have a Class A or B CDL? Want to drive a local route every day? If you said yes, then you're who we're looking for. Waste Connections of Alexandria, Natchitoches, and Lafayette is hiring drivers with CDL license. You'll get competitive wages, paid vacations, a company stock program, a 401k with company match, medical, dental, vision, life, and disability insurance, and a local route with you at home with your family every night. Apply now at wasteconnections.com/employment. That's wasteconnections.com.
Fentanyl is being used to make fake prescription pills. Assume any prescription pills you see online are fake, including Oxy, Adderall, and Xanax. To help prevent opioid overdose, naloxone is available over the counter through pharmacies, and many community service organizations have naloxone and fentanyl testing strips for free. Be prepared, carry naloxone, and know the signs of an overdose. If you or a loved one needs help or resources, go to opioidhelpla.org. Brought to you by the Louisiana Department of Health.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talkback.
All right, last segment of the morning. It's been a great morning, a lot of fun so far. And we have a call coming in. Let's go ahead and take that. Good morning, you're on Talkback.
Hey, this is Will, and I just raised 3 points about some things you said. I want to disagree softly with you about the U.S. taking a preemptive strike. It wasn't a preemptive strike. Iran has declared that they want to wipe the U.S. off the face of the earth and Israel, and we've taken measured operations before. But with regard to the nuclear threat, you always look, I'm a retired naval aviator, you always look for having a 3-to-1 advantage when you take on a military operation, whether it's forces, technology, or other strategic factors. And after Israel having pounded Iran to the point where they couldn't attack us, I agree with the president and his staff that that no other nation in the world could have pulled off what we did last night, but we were aided in large part by what the Israeli Air Force has done in Iran. The second thing, I want to just make a distinction between support for Israel, the state, or the government, and Israel, the nation, which is the biblical notion that that I hold to. You might remember that Israel, the state, may not always be friends to America. And in fact, it has really deep Marxist roots. That's why the kibbutz, the socialist farm collectives are so popular in Israel because they had a strong Marxist root in their beginning. So you got to kind of remember there's a distinction between Israel, the nation, and Israel, the state. And then finally, you asked the question about Christians and Christianity. Prior to COVID, there was a surge in terms of the Holy Spirit in Iran, and we had about 3 million new Christians about that time, 3 million out of about 85 million people. And you got to remember about, I think, I didn't Google it, but I think about 60% of Iran's population is under 30. It's a really young population. Now, since COVID, there's been a push by the Iranian government to crack down on Christianity, and but it's been favorable for evangelical growth in Pakistan and Afghanistan, which is where the young Christians have been going.
Interesting.
So
yeah,
and just one more point about the World Series. You talked about the umpire being paid to do his job. Remember, the coach is being paid to do his job too.
True.
And he's not supposed to do things that will get him thrown out. And remember, he wasn't the only one thrown out. I think they had an assistant coach that was kicked out as well.
The first base coach too. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I give the umpire a little bit of break. I think the coach probably makes a lot more money than the umpire makes for what they do. And so anyway, there's a couple of points to chew on.
Okay. Thank you for that. We appreciate the call this morning. Good stuff. Thank you. Let's go to another one. We're getting kind of late in the hour here. So good morning. You're on Talkback.
Hey, Al, that bumper music you had, the last one you had, did you pay attention? You know what the name of that is and the group?
Which was the last one?
It's the Gap Band.
Oh, yeah. You dropped a bomb on me.
You dropped a bomb on me.
I didn't even notice that. No, Dave loads those in and they sort of rotate. So you never know which one you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates. But, man, that's great. That's hilarious that you caught that.
Great song. Check out their video sometime. I've been waiting for that to come up, and I was on the call and I thought you dropped the bomb on me. That was more. All right, y'all have a good rest of the day.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
That's hilarious.
Not a bunker buster bomb.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Don't you love our audience? The things that they catch.
I know. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. That is a great song, though. Top notch.
Yeah. So the whole umpire coastal coach thing, that's going to still be debated for a while, I think.
They're going to rag on you all week about that.
And as a result, he's suspended for the next 3 games. So I guess the start of next year.
Wow.
He'll be suspended unless they can appeal that, maybe.
That's kind of wild.
I know. It is. It is.
That's what makes baseball fun. You got to do a little arguing here and there.
Yeah.
In hockey, we celebrate the fist fights. Can we just argue about balls and strikes once in a while? In a huge game.
He was telling me he missed 3 calls. That's what they ran him on.
Mm-hmm. They got him.
All right. I just don't like when the officials become the center of attention.
You don't like the NFL then? Lord have mercy.
He's down there, he's giving him the business. That's always my favorite. Ben Dryth. Classic.
What is that?
It was an old clip from like the 80s.
Oh, okay.
It was like a roughing call. He's down there, he's giving him the business.
Listening to Talkback.
See you guys tomorrow. Have a great Monday.
Those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of